welcome back to today's call. So today I have with you Katie Holland. Katie is a sacred dance therapist, dance artist, energy worker, and is also the creator of Awakened Bellydance. Katie experienced a soul awakening at age 7 and her first Kundalini awakening at age 27, which activated her life mission. Originally from England and currently based in Egypt, Katie has lived and danced around the world since 2006. She has successfully expanded her business while performing for celebrities and studying with masters of cultural dance, tantra, shamanism, yoga, dynamic meditation, and healing techniques. Katie, hi, and welcome to our call today.
Thank you, Angie.
It's okay. So we always bring on interesting people to talk on the show. And this whole thing is much more than just interesting, because with you, we're mixing the spirituality with movement, which is why I wanted to call this like sacred movement, because I think a lot of people have a passion for dance and they feel something within them. But talk to us more about how you merge the movement of the body with spirituality. Like, how did this whole thing come about for you?
Okay. To me, I feel that my earliest feeling of dance, because I started studying dance when I was 3, I knew that when I danced, I felt good. So as a child, this was my simplistic understanding. And I didn't think of it as something spiritual. It was just more a way that I could express. And as I got older, it was something that I could even more deeply express, emotions that maybe I couldn't put into words, because I found it difficult to say through speaking, I feel like this, or this is happening for me. But through movement, and also especially through performance, when you're giving that extra oomph, it was like there was a release there. And slowly, and especially after the first Kundalini explosion when I was 27, I started to understand more about the energy in my body and how I was moving it when I danced. And I was already teaching Reiki, and I'd studied various kind of bodywork modalities and Tai Chi, and I realized that there was a lot of similarities. And whereas I was seeing dance, I guess, as something very physical, because I trained in that way as technique and choreography, suddenly it was like all these other layers opened up, and understanding how instead of choreographing emotions, actually, if you can feel the emotions in a natural and spontaneous way, then really the true essence of you as the dance comes out, rather than you're performing a dance. It's more that you become the dance, and the dance is you. And I think when you connect to movement in that way, it automatically becomes spiritual. It's not something that you then say, well, I'm now spiritual. It's like it just happens in that way. Yeah.
No, a few things. I mean, I love that, because so I'm Hispanic. I absolutely love to dance, like the typical, salsa, merengue, bachata, like the typical dances. But there is something, and it's what you just said, and I wrote it down because I love it, and it's true. There's times that you just feel the body take over. Like, I've never danced like ballet or anything like that. I was never one of those little girls that did any kind of dance. My dance has always been like at the nightclub and at the parties. But I love to dance, and it's like this feeling of freeing and flow. And yes, I know the steps, but it's like the body takes over. And I love the fact that you said it's like, you said you feel the emotions as a dance and you become the dance. And that is exactly what happens to me. And I had never, I had felt it, but I had never put words to that precisely.
Yeah, and also for you with for all of us, whatever ancestral sort of lineage that we have, everything, I mean, we're all a mix, aren't we? So we all have these little pieces of cultures and styles of dance, or like folk dances, and it's in our blood. And for some, it's more recent than others, like for yourself. but we still hold that in our body. And so it's kind of letting go of that control, and yeah, allowing the music to move you and your body to move you. And it took me many years of being very disciplined with technique and this sort of learn about how the music, and especially because the main dance that I studied is dances from the Middle East. So with the Arabic music, and how to understand this really complex classical compositions, and then coming all the way around and through that, and realizing, okay, when you know the rules, then you know how to break them. And then it's like, oh God, actually it's all about letting go.
Right. After all this discipline, damn it.
Yeah. And it's like, but having to go through that discipline to then be able to let go. I wouldn't have been able to let go in the same way if I'd have not had this, I guess, very masculine, like, drill and practice, and to then get more into that feminine flow. So that's been the journey for me. Now I'm 43, so 40 years of dance and of studying dance, and yeah, kind of coming to this point of, okay, I have to get this balance and this integration. I can't control it, and I can't treat my body like a robot like when I was younger, and be like, right, you're going to do this and do that. And now it's like, okay, yeah, we're going to do this, but I'm going to be kind to you as well.
Actually, that's what I'm writing down. Stop treating the body like a robot, because in everything, that's kind of what we do. So with you and I, we're talking about dance and movement, but even in our heads, even in our day-to-day, we have become a society that is very robotic. We have become a society that is very stiff. Actually, that's funny. So about a week ago that I told you I was doing a therapy on myself, that's funny because that actually came out. I just remembered that. I came out and I said, I feel like I have to do more yoga, not because of the having to do yoga, but because I could feel my body rigid. And I was like, I need more flexibility. I need to let go. And I felt that. And I think part of what I wanted to talk to you about today is, number one, I think through dance and through the movement and through the things that you teach and you're helping others with, it's really coming into the body and letting go of the control and feeling the body once again, right?
Yeah, and being in communication with our bodies, because I think that we're kind of conditioned to think that we're separate, and that it's like a weird thing, like we're told that, oh, your thoughts are in here, but also you're outside of your body, and then you're also separate to nature, and you're separate to everybody else, and there's very much this ego and I. But actually and again, coming back to that spirituality, it's all about the communion with yourself, and the communion with the earth, and with each other, and through this, I always think of it like a flower of life. And it's like this intermingling and interconnectedness, and how we each have our role to play in the communion that we have with ourselves.
Right. And so I have studied bioenergetics, and I help people with formative psychology and all of that, which includes the body. And I think one of the things that dance does, or it's one of the ways that we can get to work with our body, with what you're saying, being communing with even our own body. We repress a lot of the emotions, and our body holds on to those emotions for us. Sometimes we're letting go, and we're just moving and wiggling and, doing whatever we're doing, but our body knows what needs to be released.
Exactly. Yeah. And it knows how to release it. And that could be by doing, I don't know, going to a salsa party and having a tequila night, spinning around, and like, wow, I feel so good from this, and I could let go of things. And it also could be something like spinning your hand around that makes no sense, and you're thinking, okay, body, why am I doing this? And your body's like, just chill.
Just move me.
I know. Yeah, just go with it. And and I'm not thinking of it again as the aesthetics, and that not everything has to be a performance, because it's in that letting go and maybe getting messy with yourself, that then your body can really express and speak.
Yeah. No, beautiful. I love it. I absolutely love it. One of the things I did want to ask you was, we speak about the Kundalini, and you had a Kundalini awakening, and there's a lot of people that hear the word, but they don't actually really understand what it is. Could you help us explain that?
Okay, I would do my very best. When it happened, I mean, I've had three, what I would say is the big Kundalini things, and then there's been a lot of mini ones in between. The first time I didn't know that that's what happened. It took maybe 7 or 8 months before I did, and it was through speaking to a new teacher that I began to study with. And she told me that the same thing had happened to her. And at that point, she was in her 70s, but when she was in her 30s, she said it happened to her. And as soon as I walked into the class, she knew, but she didn't tell me at first. It was some time before she told me all of this. So for me, I feel that Kundalini, it's about you becoming conscious of yourself. So if you think that we're all made of energy, everything is energy, and it's all vibrating at different frequencies. But when the energy within you, or you as an energy, becomes activated, you could say. And for a lot of people, this is with Tantra, like through sex or through meditation or Kundalini yoga, by doing different mantras, different kinds of breathing, and different kind of asanas and things. For me, it was when I was brushing my teeth, and in like very, just going to bed. I hadn't been actively trying to do anything with Kundalini, but when I look back now, I realize the things that I was doing and think, oh, okay, I can see now how it was all building up. And when that happened, I was in Kathmandu in Nepal, and I'd been going to temples, and I was studying a sacred dance, Nepalese Buddhist dance, which I later found out was all about Kundalini. And so, and I was reading autobiography of a yogi, and I was having these dreams about being on clouds, initiated by Buddhist monks, and like lots of things were happening. And I'd just gone there to get a visa. That was like my focus was, I need this visa for India. So, and I'd got my kids, and they were small at that time. So for me, and what I've realized since then, because this was 2006, 2007, it really takes you into shadow work. And I feel like really, if somebody wants to work with their Kundalini in a very kind of authentic way, and the deepest way, is that you have to go into the shadow stuff. And really, since that time, that's been my main self-work. And I think it happened in a way that I had no choice. I mean, we always have a choice, but it was almost like the universe, or me, that part of me that I was trying to repress, not knowing that I was, just got me, and it was like, you're going to do this, and you're going to create this dance therapy, which became Awaken Bellydance. And yeah, and it's been a really interesting journey since then, to add to the interesting journey before. But really, yeah, I would say Kundalini it's awakening to your essence. So it's not only related to sex. Of course, you can focus on it in that way, but really, and with Tantra, it's where everything is sensual, like whether you're eating a strawberry, you're touching a tree branch, you're having a conversation with somebody, and it doesn't mean then that everything becomes about sex either. It's again coming back to that connectivity. You're feeling everything, and you're really present with everything. And again, I think this is something, like you were saying about in society, that we're really pushed constantly out of being present, and coming back to that presence, it brings you back to yourself. And that's what I feel the true essence of Kundalini is about. And then when you're sitting in yourself, then you get more connected to your truth and what you're here to do.
Right. And I love how you explained it, because so I did one of the shows in Spanish, and precisely it was about Tantra. And I keep going back to it because I love what she said. And it's something very similar to what you just mentioned. She goes, yes, you want to have great, passionate, orgasmic sex? Great. But the energy is there. You can have the orgasm to life. You could enjoy what you just said, the fruit, taste it, like really taste it, be present with it. Be present with your own body, with your own skin. Like, just if you need love, just caress your hand and see how it feels, and washing the dishes. And you can make this a total wow experience of ecstasy. But none of us live like that. Like, most of us just go wash the dishes and, be done with. But it's coming into ourselves. It's coming into the present moment, and it's feeling with every atom of our body really that life force, which to me is what Kundalini is. It's like that life force that is inside us, actually acknowledging it and feeling it. And it's magnificent.
Yeah, and really it's the energy of creation. So whether this is a baby in the most obvious way, or whether that's creating a choreography or creating a poem or whatever it might be, it's really bringing the creative energy of manifestation into this realm, and then sort of sharing that with the world, and really bringing your energy and your life force into the collective life force.
Right. And I think also with dance, it's such a beautiful feminine way. Like, even just giving the same example you did, when you were trained in professional dance and stuff, it was so rigid. It was the masculine way of doing things, right? Like, this is a process you have to practice. You have to be controlled with your body, with the choreography, with the music. And now it's allowing that feminine aspect, which is coming in so many beautiful ways. But in your sense, it's coming in through dance, as in just flow, move your body, flow, let go of the control, let go of all that rigidness. And I think that's something we really need.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's very needed on this planet, and it's something that we're not allowed to do unless we really choose to.
Right. And I think so many of us have been so trained. Okay, let's just say, as a society, we've been so trained to be a certain way that, don't get offended, but the crazy one who goes and does belly dance for fun and says that's spiritual, she's a whack. Because we have been so trained that this is the way we should be, that we're not even open-minded to the easiness and the fun and the joy of what dancing can do for us. That's like a side effect, like when I have time on the weekend, I'll do that, maybe, and I think that's part of the shift that's happening now, for all of us to start seeing life, including our own bodies, including our own form, in such a different, free-flowing way. That is the spiritual way. That is what we were meant to do all along.
Yeah, and it's something in the more tribal communities or ancient communities that was there, and it was something as part of ceremony, as part of rituals. Everything was around movement and singing and music, and it was only really later on, when the church got more involved and kind of put themselves or a priest in between you and your connection to God or the divine or the universe, so that you had to go through them to get to that. Whereas how it was before, there was a direct connection. Like, when you look at whirling dervishes with the Sufi whirling, is that they speak of it as a direct connection to Allah. And that direct connection was removed at a point in time, so that it was more that we had to ask permission, or we had to behave ourselves so that we could.
Sorry.
That's right.
I'm trying to hold it.
So that we could get that. But actually, it's within all of us that we can have that connection to source, in whatever way that you think of it. Right. It's because we are source, and that's the Kundalini. So it kind of spirals in the same way that the whirling spirals. It all comes back to us again and again and again.
Right. And I know you studied with shamanism, and I've met some indigenous tribes and shamans. And when we look at them, I'm going to say the word makeup, but they have a dance for honoring the feathered friends and the wind and the sun. And, they have a way of connecting, because dance can actually put you in kind of a trance, because it's like a meditative state. And that is what a lot of the ancient cultures, and still to this day, and many of the tribes honor their ceremonies with, which is something what you were mentioning, similar.
Yeah, and this is something that really is specifically interesting for me. And the countries that I've lived in, like I've lived in India, and then Bali, then Bulgaria, and now Egypt. And obviously I grew up in England. But in each of the countries that I've lived, and then others that I've traveled, and like in Nepal, I've not even really had to find the teachers. I've had all kinds of synchronistic kind of meetings, and finding the perfect teachers so that I could learn the dances of those particular cultures, and also learn them in a different way, maybe because I've not done it in the tourist way. It's it's been really crazy how things have worked. And all of them, even though they're thought of as different cultures, a different style of dance, because of studying so many of them, I can see the interlinks between them, and I can feel them in my body. And it does, a lot of them, it comes back to this kind of trance dance, or like conscious trance. And again, with whirling as well, is a really good example, or like the Zar dances in Egypt. It's where movement has been used as a way of release, really, music and dance, to release you from yourself, and in a way that you can't do that just through speaking. And so I'm my kind of experiment on myself for all of these things, and I never really expected to then be teaching them, but I've been really lucky in the teachers that I've had. They all immediately kind of recognized something in me, and they taught me in a way that I could bring these dances to the West. And they were saying, right, we want you to go and teach, and we want you to do this. And so I feel really, really honored that I have that permission to do that. And and with the shamanic side, I haven't trained in a sort of traditional shamanic way, I guess you could say. There's been different things with different teachers, but one particular teacher who is British, and her kind of focus with it was very much about movement as well. So I learned a huge amount from her, and it's it's been a journey of different portions of my life in different portions and styles of dances.
Right. So okay, you are currently, according to me, on the other side of the world, because you're living in Egypt. Obviously I'm not. How did people get in touch with you? Because I was going to ask you at the end anyways. We still have a little bit of more time, but if people are interested in your technique and in what it is that you're dancing, can you teach that internationally online, or does it have to be in person?
No, for the trainings, it's in person, because it's in a group, and we live together for the duration of the training, and we're dancing every day, eating, sleeping. It's very much a communal experience. So that is also a big part of the process. And also because I feel it's really important for if somebody wants to facilitate Awaken Bellydance, they really need to go fully through the process themselves, as I have and still do, because I always say it, I can't say to you, jump off the cliff, if I've not jumped off it at least 100 times before. So people come there and they're learning how to facilitate, but they're also they're going through their own thing as well. And I feel online it wouldn't give the depth that we get in person, and also for the support and the integration as well, because I want to be there at the end of the day and give people a hug and sit with them and give them chocolate and say, okay, let me put you to bed now. and I can't do that online. But for online, I teach one-to-one sessions, because to take the training, there's a prerequisite course, which is a one-to-one with me. And then I also teach group workshops and sort of master classes and things. And not only for Awaken Belly Dance, I teach Bollywood and whirling, and there's quite a variation of things. So depending on my mood, I offer different workshops at different times.
Okay.
And then I also do retreats as well. So I've got a retreat next February in Luxor in Egypt, and it's very much focused on sacred dance and yoga and the Blue Lotus. So yeah, so there's lots of things around the world, and hopefully now I can travel more as well, because things are opening up. Because before all of this stuff, I was very much on the road, and people would host me in different countries. So I'm yeah, so it can be online, in person. Yeah.
Okay. No, and I think that's great, because I think you have been able to, like you said, you've been honored with being able to teach others what many of us don't have the opportunity to go and meet these people in the East and actually learn from them in a, not only in an artful way, but in the spiritual connection way. Because by the time it gets, and I'm going to be completely honest, by the time it kind of gets to the Western world, sometimes it's been very capitalized or materialized, and it just becomes part of the mainstream. And I think with a lot of things that come out of the East, some of them are lost along, I'm just going to say it in this way, they're lost along translation throughout the time.
Yeah.
And with the fact that you have noticed throughout your entire life that movement is sacred, which it is, because every spiritual scripture, one way or another, at some point mentions the body as your temple. And it's learning how to integrate and actually live in a free-flowing way inside this body, because we keep giving it junk food, we keep being rigid, we keep all of this stress. And what a better and fun way to actually enjoy this temple and honor it through movement. I mean, I think that is amazing. I really do. And that's why I was so happy and honored to have you here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's the people I've trained with, like I say, it's been very synchronistic. And the last kind of, yeah, very big synchronicity was in Turkey. It's almost 2 years ago. And I went to watch a whirling dervish performance. The guy who was like the sheikh who had taught them, the group, I recognized him from a vision that I'd had whilst whirling a couple of months earlier. Oh. And I thought, I have to train with this guy. And he, at first, he wasn't so into it. And I found out more later, but it took about 2 weeks for him to agree. And then it turned out that I was the first woman that he'd taught, and especially being Western, and I'm not Muslim, and I spent 6 weeks with him training every day in a cave underground, in the place where they do the performances, and it's like pulsating in in the magic, and his lineage goes all the way back to Rumi, and it was so unbelievable. And the way, yeah, just the way that he kind of took care of me, and yeah, and that he agreed. And because also when I told him I'd had this vision and recognized him, he said that he'd also recognized me. So there was this something, and yeah, it was really amazing. So all of my interactions with teachers have been these kind of things, and yeah, just happened in all kinds of mysterious ways.
And that's how spirituality happens. And that's the thing. It's like with these talk shows, I get to ask people, you know, what was your experience and how did you wake up? And I love the fact that I don't think anybody's story is ever duplicated in anybody else. There's some people that say, like myself, I knew I was spiritual in one way or another when I was growing up, and then eventually it evolved to everything and what I know now. And there's some people that they're like, I just woke up one day and I felt different and something caught my eye and I followed that path and bam. And I'm like, okay, I've taken 40 years. You woke up overnight. Like, that's not fair. But everybody's path is so different, and it's perfect. What everybody needs for themselves is what will happen. And the synchronicities that have happened to you were meant for them to happen to you. Like, you were meant to learn from these people, and it's amazing. I really do think it's amazing. Now, we really are running out of time.
Okay.
I do want people to reach out to you. So I did mention it previously, but where can they get in contact with you?
Okay, if they go to my website, awakenbellydance.com, and then there's lots of information and there's videos and I'm talking about my experiences. They can sign up for my newsletter through there, and then I update it with all the different events and everything as well. And then also anything Awaken Bellydance on any social media or my name, then they'll find me.
Perfect. And I'll be sure to put all the links below. But
Thank you.
if I could leave, or if I could ask you to leave us with one tip, let's say besides your school, and honestly, I do recommend people to go, because I think the value of the vast information and experience that you've gathered is very unique. But if there's people that can't do it for X or Y reason, what is one thing maybe somebody listening can do today to kind of connect with themselves through sacred movement? What would you be able to recommend to them?
I would say just close your eyes and ask your body, say, body, truth, move me, or move me in my truth. And
Okay.
even if it's one finger, but just asking your body and making that connection that your body's, she or he has remembered that I'm here. And then this opens a completely different pathway and a dialogue. And and then see where the movement takes them, and keeping it open so it's not fixed of, right, body move me because I feel like this or because I want that. Just body move me, show me what I need to know right now.
Right. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's remembering that although we're not separate, we kind of need to acknowledge it, because we do forget about our bodies. We just kind of use our two little feet and run around everywhere, but we forget to actually acknowledge our body, except when we're looking at it and we're complaining. I'm fat, I'm getting old, I'm wrinkled, there's cellulite, there's this. Like, we tend to see the body in such a negative aspect. And I think it's seeing, okay, what do you want to do, body? Which is what you just said, move me in my truth. What is it that you want to do? And acknowledge it in a positive way.
Yeah, and also remembering that for whatever reasons, we chose our bodies in exactly the way that they are, and with all their quirks and whatever it might be. This vehicle that's your body is absolutely perfect for what you came here to do, what you chose to do. Yeah,
beautiful. All right, honey, we are running out of time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Beautiful. And everybody, thank you. And we will see you next week for the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.